Right, let's move on then. Let's do the ugly points now. So, Blame F, what is your ugly point?
My ugly point is that Navi are struggling right now. And I think there's obviously multiple points to that overall thing, but I think just a team that has those kind of players, like it just hurts to see from the outside that they're struggling because it does look like it's a lot of like outside factors that are like making them struggle right now. And yeah, it's just for me as well, like Electronic is another rifler that I'm looking up to a lot and I've been watching a lot of demos of and just been like kind of like a fanboy of him like for a long period of time, even back when I was in like Heroic and Epsilon, like all the way back then. So just like seeing the team suck, and I think like obviously not sucking because they're still like like getting to big tournaments and all that, like and like still beating teams, but like compared to like the era and like when they were really good, I just think that the team look like team play wise doesn't look as good, and it looks like a bit confusing for them on the server and seeing who's doing what. And I think like Electronic is maybe overcompensating in some sense, like trying to do too much for what he's like capable of maybe because and I think I also saw in an interview that someone like Blade I think said like he needs more help on the server, like Electronic needs more help on the server, and it does look like for me sometimes that Electronics like the nades coming all the way up then and beat the guy running in first as well, and then like trying to like do this and finding these openings and like creating the space at the same time and just doing all this, and it's kind of like hurting his individual performance. So yeah, I think just Avi as a team right now, they have like talent. They should be one of the best in the world, and maybe they are on the ranking. But I just think that they aren't really close to winning the titles right now. So yeah, just a little bit disappointing to see because I think that how solid the team was. Like people were even saying that like it must be the entire foundation of the team that are so incredible good because they can swap an academy player in and still be the best in the world and all that stuff. So it's just kind of like sad for me to see that kind of maybe the foundation has crumbled a little bit over there in the Navi camp.
I was thinking of picking this point up myself because I was, yeah, pretty disappointed with what we've been seeing from Navi lately. Because there's no way I can really go into a tournament right now and actually pick Navi. Like usually, there's a little bit of mystery in terms of like what is a team going to bring into a tournament. But as it's been for the last several now, I can't really enter a tournament and think like, yeah, Navi have fixed their issues. And I'll bring up the NPL fact where it's like they're really kind of going into the dredges of their academy roster to try to find something now, because NPL to me wasn't even the best player from the academy team. I thought Headtrick was decidedly better, and in terms of stats he was, in terms of like what he was doing to carry that team when they were playing in the academy league, like Headtrick was the one that had to do everything. So then picking NPL was like a really curious choice. And I think it's more to do with the roles. But then you look at how he performed, and it's like, man, if this is the future of what they're hoping to find for Navi, then it's not a bright future at that. Which is why I would just say, just put Headtrick in. It's a better player. It's a worse fit, but a better player, worse fit is kind of like the Yabby heroic deal, where he didn't play the same spots as Refresh, but he'll learn, and with the skills that he has already, he'll probably be able to find something with that. But on top of that, I do think that Electronic as an IGL has proven to not be a success. And what's even more frustrating is that Blade has now said in multiple interviews, we're not looking for a new captain. We're not looking for a new IGL. We're trying to make Electronic into our leader. And this team has just lost such a massive step in terms of their T sides and how there's just like a lack of coordination. Like, I mean, I think it was all summed up in that round that they played against Liquid, where they had 9 seconds. There's no reason they shouldn't have planted on B side overpass, and then they just didn't plant the bomb. It was like, that's what I remember seeing from Navi 3 years ago when they were making the transition initially to Boomich, and I was hoping that I was done with that kind of stuff, because that quality of CS is just like, it's just not what you expect from a legacy org like Navi.
Yeah, what I would say on this angle is this has actually been one of the things about Navi. Like, everyone forgets because they were so amazing in 2021 and the lands, etc. Like, earlier in the year, people forget this. They had the same lineup when they initially bought Britain, but online, Bit wasn't the same play, wasn't as dominant, and especially at the time, they used to be behind Gambit, if everyone remembers. And at the time, that's why everyone flamed the fuck out of Blade and the team. Like, it really was still, like, simple had to, like, hard carry for them to win a bunch of those games or to even come, like, second or something. So I actually think if you look at Blade Blade's career, from talking to him, I did like a Stratbook episode on this on my YouTube channel. If people have seen that one, basically Blade as an IGL and a coach, his one flaw, in my opinion, because he is like a mastermind, he does have like his own total like vision of the game, and he obviously played like forever and seen every type of player and stuff. The problem is this: he actually has a problem a lot of England leaders and coaches sometimes have, which is in English we have a saying, Blame F, that goes, the perfect is the enemy of the good. Because the idea is if you strive too much for a certain type of perfection, it stops you doing what would be like just good, like it would just work, like you wouldn't need to. So I think sometimes he does almost make things too complicated. Because if everyone can remember, back in 2019 when Blade joined as the coach and they transitioned to Boomich after having Zeus, that was when he made Simple be the Krieg player and brought Guardian back to be the AWPer. Now the reason he did that, this is where it's complicated philosophy, is his logic was if Simple gets his level to the absolute peak on the Krieg, then he'll just dominate the whole game because he'll win every clutch. He's like, he can be in the mid. He was right. I get what he means. The perfect thing he was going for would actually be, in theory, the absolute best. But the point is, who the fuck else at that moment would ever be like, yeah, Simple, pass that up to someone else right now? Like, if you want to win the game now, you would just say, no, give him the AWP back. Like, let's just fucking go for it, do your best thing. So the problem is, basically, Maui, I don't think he will abandon this plan with this MPL guy. I actually think this really is the plan to bring this guy in. Like, they brought Bit in gradually. It was the same way. They had him on one map, then they brought him in. And by the way, I actually think that's terrible, because I saw a lot of people argue, well, if you want to like build this player and his confidence and his experience at tier 1, you give him a chance. Like, well, then let him play the whole LAN. Like, what would the point? This is mad. They made that guy play the last map that they played, third map only of that series that they got eliminated on. Dude, I haven't even played map 1 and map 2. Everyone's warmed up. Everyone's played the rest of the series. I'm already a fucking guy who's never played a tier 1 LAN. Like, that's too much pressure. Like, either put you in properly and like really give the guy a chance, and if he fails, okay, or give him chances, but like put you in for like one map every now and then. I think that's too little, mate. Like, I think it's going to do this. It's just going to have a bad result. Like, you'd have to be superhuman to perform like that. Like, spoiler, go back and watch when Bit joined. When he was just coming in to play like one map instead of Flamey, he didn't drop 30 either. He used to just be like average as fuck. And people even were flaming him back then. A lot of people don't know that. They were like, why are we getting this guy? Why aren't we getting some like known Russian or Ukrainian player? Like, why are we trying this guy? So the thing to say is this: I'll give Blade a lot of passes and credit because he has found these. He picked out Perfecto. He did make the Boomich work and win a fucking major. He did get Bit to be one of the best. So I'll give him time. But I think they're going to keep going this approach, man. I don't think they saw this and they were like, right, scrap that. Like, as you say, I think he really believes like Electronic is going to be the ultimate IGL, whether we agree or not, and whether we would do that. So the sad thing is, I've got a couple of points to make on this. One is on the whole thing of like the team. This is another area I find really tough to talk about as a player, because when we evaluate stars and players, most of the really great players are so absurdly good. You don't even have to mention what spots they play. Like, you put Nico in almost any team, he's going to be a really good player. Even if you put him in bad spots, he'll be like pretty good. The difference is, I genuinely think, from what I've seen this year, a lot of what made Bit amazing last year was how they used him, the spots they put him in, and how they supported him. Like, I think this year, when you've seen him on different spots, he just looks like half as good sometimes. He doesn't look like a player who knows everything and knows where they are. Like, remember when he used to play like Mirage and just CT push and always get like 2 kills on someone at like the perfect timing? That made you think like, holy shit, can he like read the game as well? Like, I don't think he can, mate. I think he is like just a young up and coming player who's only had a year or so at the top. Like, he looks quite inexperienced when you watch him play. So when Bit fell away, by the way, Electronics the IGL anyway, so the stats went down, and then on top of that they had Simple's numbers went off. Like, you can't win like that. Like, if people remember at the end of last year when Na'Vi was super dominant, every year if you went on this every event on the stats, they would have like 3 of the top 10 players, and Na'Vi the team would be top rated. Here's the stat for this last LAN, guys. At this last LAN, Na'Vi had a 0.96 rating as a team. Like, what? Dude, they would have had like 1.15 or something mental in their prime, or 1.10. Like, the joke was, the one thing you were never going to do is outshoot Na'Vi. You might beat them, but you're never going to outshoot them. Like, you can now. Like, there's actually a whole bunch of teams at this LAN. Like, the joke is OG had more firepower than Na'Vi at this LAN. Like, that is a massive area for them. So, to me, I think they've got so much to fix, mate. They've got the pieces to do it, but man, that's a tough riddle to solve, in my opinion. So, God bless Blade. He's going to have his fucking work out for him, mate. Now we'll see if he is goated, Maui.
Yeah, I was thinking that actually. If he's got any time to prove it, this is a really tough one. Yeah,
it's weird. Like some of the maps, like you talked about roles before. I do think that's like, I think that's a little bit weird for me when I watch Na'Vi. That's changing the roles a little bit around, so it's like perfect in the theory, because they're putting Electronic in more of those positions where he can like talk more. But I think like watching him, for example, take banana control on Inferno on GT sides compared to watching him pit, it's just weird for me like a little bit because I just think that he's such a good player over there, you know. So it is. I know why it is like you want like the guy who's supposed to talk the most to be in that position, because you have to like every single round tell how you're gonna take banana this round, like depending on how the T's are doing last round and all that stuff. So in theory, I understand it, but I do think that maybe maybe they're trying a little bit too much to make it perfect or something. I don't know, but that part is definitely a little bit.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.